Hey, it's Friday, February 5th, 2021. We are living in America. This is Jim Coughlin, Creative Director of Club VMSA. These 30-minute video chats are brought to you every day of the week by members like you and also our sponsors. And I really appreciate the sponsors that we have this month. And Eddie, I'm going to share who our sponsors are, and I'm going to read a couple commercials because they pay me to do that and they make this show possible. Icon Information Consultants, powered by Optly, is always at the forefront of technology. Icon offers a robust direct sourcing solution powered by Optly that enhances the talent acquisition process with transformative technology, turnkey recruitment automation, and a constantly growing candidate community of over 17 million people. The solution is fully compatible with an existing program infrastructure, and you can contact them at Icon Information Consultants today. Also, CPAL, there's a conference called CPAL Connect. It's happening next Thursday, February 11th, and you can go for free because I'm going to put a link in the chat window. We've been collaborating with CPAL for some time now. We love these guys. They're a next-gen AI-powered talent acquisition and workforce management platform that's changing the way the industry recruits, offering a cost-effective way to increase close rates. I love increasing close rates and workforce productivity. Plus, they're giving back to you by hosting a pretty cool industry-wide event called CPAL Connect on February 11th. So talk to CPAL. And then NTech. Experience the nth degree of staffing with NTech, where process meets partnership. I want to thank Surajit Sengupta, who's the CEO of NTech, Jimmy Iannuzzi, and Arthur Ransler, who are usually on this call, listening in, asking great questions. All of our sponsors for the month of February, appreciate it a lot because it makes the show possible. Quan, get my Quan. Today's guest, I was talking to our guest yesterday, and I got so pumped up about what he was talking about and how his business is going. And it's really a celebration today. African American History Month is February, of course. And we have one of the dominant forces in minority-owned staffing firms. We have the CEO of HCM Staffing and Consulting Group, a River Capital Group company, Mr. Eddie Bright, and his managing director, Ibrahim Jackson. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you so much. Hey, Jim, it's good to see you again.
Good. Eddie, great to hear you. Great to see you. I'm done talking. Share with the audience about your company so everybody knows the framework and where you sit in the ecosystem. And then I want to talk about how it's going, because diversity is big on everybody's plate. All the enterprise I'm talking about, you got to be killing it right now.
You know what, Jim, and first of all, thank you for having us. I've always shared with many that VMSA has been doing great work. Someone asked me recently, what is VMSA? And I talked about they are probably the dominant connector in the business in connecting corporations with quality vendors, both MSPs and connecting them with vendors, as well as companies being connected with staffing companies like us in the staffing space. So I just want to thank you for the job that you've done, and more importantly, what you're doing during this time of COVID. HCM, we are probably the premier Black-owned, minority certified, obviously, as well as veteran certified supplier in our space. Staffing is not a complicated business. We all know that. What has happened because of a lot of the social unrest over the last year, our growth, we call it hyper growth, because of a lot of the relationships that Ibrahim and I have built up over the last 20 years in business. We're well known within the minority circles. We're aligned with all of the dominant minority groups, whether it be ELC, the list goes on and on. So what has happened over those relationships, they've come and they said, hey, Eddie, you're doing business with us. There's been a sense of social unrest. We want to do things better. We want to impact our culture. Can you not only provide the Larry Epsteins and the Patrick Angs and the Susan Wongs of the world, but we want you to see if you can help us with meeting our diversity needs, help us find qualified candidates, help us with our culture and bringing this type of talent into our culture. But we wanted to go one step further, Jim. Ibrahim brings that expertise, that zone of genius in the training and development, diversity and inclusion, helping companies build that belonging environment and retention, which is very important. So we're not just doing the staffing and providing talent. We're actually able to help our client partners keep that talent. and build those modules and understand that inclusion means a lot more than just hiring minorities. And I think it's important, to let Ibrahim share a couple of minutes as well of this holistic approach that we have here at HCM.
Absolutely.
Ibrahim,
Well, thank you. Absolutely. And Jim, again, I just need to echo Eddie's sentiment. Thank you for having us. We're really excited and delighted to be a part of this. So to Eddie's point, my responsibility here is to ensure that we drive really strong, sustainable change programs as it focuses in on people. I'm sure that you've read many of the reports, whether it's from the World Economic Forum or a McKinsey report, where they say that the widest gap that we have from a capability perspective is people being upskilled and reskilled. Right. So my responsibility within the organization is to make sure that we're upskilling people for a changing world of work. And all of that is being driven through technology. Everything we do, from this conference that we're having right now to me sleeping at night and tracking my rest on my device, everything has technology woven through the fabric of what we do. And so when Eddie and I partnered up, what we decided to do was design this framework called the Digital Professional Framework. And it really has 4 bands. The first being, make sure that you have technology, knowledge, and savviness. Okay, you have to understand how technology is working and how the technology can help to move your business forward, really make a material difference. The second is to make sure that you have the business acumen that's required in today's age, where you understand the company that you work for, that you understand the industry that your company is in, and then looking across sector to identify where there are opportunities to join the dots and potentially add new solutions, services, capabilities, talents, behaviors, decision-making into your firm. The third being around interpersonal skills. And so the rave today is all about emotional intelligence, right? Our IQ has been set since the day that we were born, but our EQ ebbs and flows, right? And so you can improve your emotional intelligence. So we do a lot around emotionally effective leaders, understanding personality types, navigating corporate politics, executive presence, et cetera. And then the space that's near and dear to both Eddie and ours and my heart is social impact, right? To Eddie's point, we are pushing on open doors. Our business is flourishing. When he talks about hyper growth, I would actually say that's an understatement, because it's like almost unmanageable. And part of it is because we're bringing diversity, inclusion, and belonging into organizations, and to help them on their journey. Everyone is at a different stage, and every company has a different culture. So we work with the individuals from a diversity perspective. We work with building out the communities from an inclusion perspective. And then from a belonging perspective, we help to shape the culture so that everything that we do is making sure that we're aligned with the strategy and the agenda of the company, and that people are being considered first.
I love this. So these 4 platforms: technology, business acumen, interpersonal skills, which is the emotional intelligence, which I could use some at 63 years of age. I'm a little bit of a baby sometimes. And social impact, which is like, that's powerful. That's like the dynamite, right? Of those 4, can you share, either Eddie or Ibrahim, an example of a client that you've worked with where this has really made an impact?
Absolutely. Thank you, Eddie. And thank you, Jim. So I will share with you several examples. So a majority of our clients fall in the life sciences, financial services, and CPG realm. And so what senior level executives have come to me for is to say, well, listen, Ibrahim, I'll use an example as their technology teams. We have really bright and intelligent technologists. They understand our technology. They don't necessarily understand our business. And on top of not understanding our business, they just do not get a seat at the table with specific executives, because they feel as though, they don't feel as though they belong, but second, they're not sure how to align with what they do with what the business objectives are. So what we do is we go in to develop both these leadership teams as well as the sub teams that they have to bring them on board. And a lot of that is around what we do with business relationship management. So that's one. We have another client that's based out of Idaho that does a lot of grocery business. And we help them along their journey with going in to allow us to do an assessment of where they are in terms of sentiment and tone from the organization, how they feel from a diversity, inclusion, belonging perspective. And then we create these focus groups so that we can actually create action plans, and that the group can walk away with artifacts that allow them to say, these are our next steps. and then we hold them accountable a few months later. So those are two quick examples I would throw out there, Jim.
And
Go ahead, Eddie.
Jim, I was going to add, and as much as we have these programs, we provide this personalized to the people that we place. So as we place people with our clients, there's many times where they're, for 6 months, they're still working with us. Okay, what do you see? How are you fitting in? Did you pick the right group? Did you pick a mentor? Who's your sponsor? Who's your advocate? So, we have to have, that's how we're able to evangelize the success we have with each placement. So we're doing a little bit more than putting the right resume. And then, that person goes on and hopefully we get a placement fee.
So let me break down a few things here, because so are you providing this consulting to companies, whether you're placing people with them or not, or just strictly with your placement clients?
Yes. So the value with working with HCM is that we do offer a bespoke model, right? Which allows us a better opportunity to work within organizations. So there have been organizations where Eddie and I go in and they say, listen, we just need staff because we really have a diversity issue here. Yeah. And for us, we know the pools that they may not necessarily be swimming in. So we find that. And then there are other instances where they say, listen, from a talent perspective, we have what we need, but we're missing certain elements in terms of behaviors, mental models, and beliefs that could really use your facilitated workshops inside. And to Eddie's point, we really curate our content and do co-creation with our clients so that it's tailored to them. We try to avoid the boilerplate approach where it's so broad and ambiguous that, oh, I attended this great course, but for some reason, the change hasn't taken effect. So we like to drive sustainable change.
Yeah, that helps. So let me just take a quick pause here. I want to thank the sponsors again, CPAL, Icon, and Intech. And also, you may not be able to see over my left shoulder here, so I'll make it bigger. We have a diversity and inclusion event that's sponsored by Farmers Insurance on February 11th, which is next Thursday. Anybody can come to that. And so the thing that we're hearing from all of the enterprise clients now, all the global procurement, all the contingent workforce managers, is D&I is at the top of our list. It's not just getting diverse suppliers, but we want to know that the suppliers can provide diverse candidates. And that's where most of the suppliers get locked up. It's like, how do they do that? They don't know how, a number of suppliers don't know how to do that. And obviously, you guys are a diverse company, African-American founded, based. Give me examples of communities that you go into that would be a diverse community, what skill set is in that community, and how you upgrade and add value to that candidate population, and then present it to a client as, here's your diverse funnel.
Sure, and I'll pick up a little bit of that, and I think Ibrahim can as well. We've hired people within our organization, and their purpose is just to align us what we call strategic alliances. What is strategic alliances? Obviously, all HBCUs, all the Black organizations, whether it be Black Data Processors of America, I could go right down the line. Understanding how to do the right algorithms to reach out to African Americans, especially, as you know, 75% of what we do is IT. The other 5 groups that we speak to are HR, procurement, finance, and accounting. So ELC, I can go right down those groups, and we form those alliances. We're aligned with, I could call it a secret sauce, but technology that actually speaks to people's personal makeup, who they are as a person, understanding them. Just because someone is great in IT and they're Black doesn't mean that they're right for that particular organization. So we get into the algorithm, we do algorithm, I want to call it data mining, to put the right candidates to the right culture. And then we offer all the programs, which, brings that holistic suite that we spoke about, Jim. So we're aligned with everyone. That's our purpose. And at the same time, I don't want everyone to think that we're just presenting minority candidates. We present the Jim Coughlins of the world and everyone else. But
I'm a minority. I'm an old guy. Man. Come on.
That's all right. Hey, listen,
hired 10 years
Ibrahim does workshops against ageism. I mean, that's a real thing in the workforce as well.
I mean, I look 89, but it's like,
well, we're both old guys, but they say a head of gray is a crown of wisdom. I don't even have that, so I don't know where I'm coming from. But
let me ask you, Eddie, so sounds like business is good, even during the time of COVID. Obviously, you got challenges, but you're humming along. You're getting meetings, you're getting appointments, your messaging is good. What challenges as the CEO of the company and the leader are you facing in 2021 as you're bringing in opportunities? What are the things that are your challenges that you face?
I'm going to use the word blessed, Jim. I'm blessed to have Ibrahim Jackson, someone who is, I would call it his zone of genius in people development. And I'll say that because I'm sure I'm not the only CEO that's going to say what I'm about to say. We try to do everything. We feel like, hey, we were the first face in the account, and we've got, everybody wants to deal with Eddie, and I'm the one that, made it rain, and breaking away from that, especially with the hyper growth we're having, has, still been a challenge. As you know, when I was at Aptask, we went to 60 something $1 million in revenue, and we had a lot of people already in place. So it was much easier because of the growth here. And because, it's so visual to me, I've got to be able to break away. And so I'm fortunate to have Ibrahim and the team around me where I've just got to let go. Say let go and let God, but I've got to let go and let people grow and let them build those moments that define relationships, because the relationships that we have are all defined by moments. People think you do great work and they're going to appreciate it and you're going to place people and you have a relationship. It's defined by the moments that you create, whether it be with your MSP partner, whether it be with your direct hiring manager, whether it be with HR. It's all about those moments where people look up and they see that you get it and you see that they get, the value propositions that you're trying to deliver. I think Ibrahim could probably speak to that better than I.
No, so let me just contribute a few items here. So Jim, when you ask what are some of these CEOs actually facing, I would say there's really three things top of mind. Number one is reopen strategy, right? Because you need to plan now for post-COVID. So that's what they're looking for. And so they're coming to us with how do we handle our reentry? We know that the world has changed. It's going to be a hybrid model. Some will be remote work, some will be in office. So that's number one. Number two, COVID has accelerated digital transformation, right? So not only do we need our technology executives to be upskilled, but we also need our business partners to recognize the value. Well, they recognize the value of technology now, but for them to get acclimated to how the technology will drive different ways of doing work, whether it's robotic process automation, the list goes on, augmented reality, et cetera. And then the third one, which has lasted forever, but we're talking about it right now, is the war for talent. Okay, I can't tell you how many times people are coming to us and saying, guys, we need software engineers. I could care less where you find them at this point, right? We need software engineers. We need project managers. We need product managers in order to help drive all of these programs, because COVID has really accelerated our agenda. So those would be the top three.
Eddie, this guy's a good hire. Good job. He's smart, and she's smart MF. So hold on a second. You got that.
Listen, and by the way, yeah. He came out of one of those groups.
Yeah.
You asked about where do I know where to go? He came out of one of those groups, and he was someone I watched from a distance, Jim. And I said, this guy gets it. This guy, and I'll say this too. You asked how are CEOs within the industry adjusting. It's hard to trust people.
Yeah.
And you've got to earn that trust. And I'll say in my 26 years, Ibrahim is the first person that there's no reservation, just go.
How are you and I doing right now? How are you and I doing on the trust level?
We're okay, Jim. We're doing
level five. Level five.
Okay. Level five. Yeah, level 5.
I'm on a 5. Hey, we're more than halfway through. We got about 10 minutes left. I want to thank CPAL Icon and Intech again. I want to open it up. If there's questions in the audience, put them in the Q&A and I'll read them. Another question I have for you, Eddie. Mr. Bright, who do you prefer? Who are you? I tend to ask a lot of questions in one question. There's the diversity inclusion manager. There's the global procurement manager. There's a head of contingent workforce. There's a head of talent acquisition, at all the client companies, right? Who was your primary, secondary, tertiary target? Then
lost you there for a second, Jim.
I'm sorry. Then there's the MSP. Who's your sales target you're targeting to in the client end and in the MSP end? Who are you targeting to sell?
I would say on the client end, I like the chief procurement officer. I just think that that's a good starting point. because they understand where the spin is. They understand the purpose of the spin, not just the spin, but why. You know, there's a saying I like to use: he who knows how will always have a job. He who knows why will always be his boss. I like to talk to the person that governs the why of the spin. So I'll go with the chief procurement officer. On the MSP spin, I think it's important to understand the person who has that particular account, because within MSPs, there's someone that might be managing 10 accounts. I want to understand how things are working with that person who's managing XYZ company. And I want to understand why other people have been successful for him or her, why they define success. And then I want to be able to get that good intellectual feel that they want vendors to succeed too. It's important because they want their vendors to succeed. And when you find that, they don't need 30 vendors there. They don't need 40 vendors. They need that good number that are the sharpest tools in their toolbox, that care about the client, and they get to success together. And you want people that you can get to success together.
Are you finding any challenges in certain geographic areas? I know a lot of companies are going geographically remote, so it really doesn't matter where the worker is. But are you going into any, pockets of diverse labor pools or depressed areas or anything like that to develop talent?
We're aligned with several reskilling and upskilling companies. Several. We have very dynamic relationships with several what we call upskilling, reskilling organizations that are in depressed communities, or with those that may have been accountants who want to move into IT. They offer training. There's companies like the Urban League, which does training in geographical areas all over the country for people who may have been working, driving buses, who knows, who want to get a technology skill. And I will actually, and Ibrahim will actually add the next level to that to present them to some of our client partners who have diversity initiatives. And then what are you getting? Someone who's got somewhat of a professional background, they're anxious to succeed, and usually at a pretty good price point as well, as opposed to those that have a lot of years in a particular skill.
Right. What would either of you gentlemen recommend to the, I'm going back to my 70s days when I used to dance disco, the average white band, right? Pick up the pieces. The average white guy who's going to try to get into this diverse market. How would I do that? I mean, I want to help people in, diverse communities. What would you recommend? What would I do? Or am I just like, pardon my French, shit out of luck? What do I do?
Ibrahim?
Sure. No, that's a great question, Jim. So part of the journey to evolve into being a belonging organization, which an individual from any social identity should want to be a part of, is to be receptive to making a mental model shift. Okay.
God, I love that. Say that.
You have to,
receptive to making a mental model shift. I love that.
That's correct. So look, the reality is this: we have decades of mental muscle memory that is not going to shift and pivot overnight.
Right.
Okay. We've built lifestyles around the way that we think and the way that we perceive things and the experiences that we've had and the networks that we've built. So I think whether you are in a Black community or a non-Black community, part of what you have to do is make sure that you're opening up your circle, right? Eddie smiles when I say this. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason, right? So use your mouth to ask the question, but then prepare to actively listen to what's being said. You need to raise your level of empathy. So we talk a lot about that when we go through emotional intelligence, because it's like that four-step continuum of pity, sympathy, empathy, and then compassion, right? So the compassion is the action that you take after the empathy. This is what you need to do to actually begin to work within communities that you may not be familiar with. And I will tell you that, at least from the people that I've encountered in corporations, outside of corporations, outreach, people are receptive to working with those who are really being genuine and authentic about, their curiosity. So yeah, that's the approach.
Dude, that was beautiful. Pity, you go from pity to sympathy to empathy to compassion. I love that. I love that. You're talking my language. We've got questions here. I'm going to read questions in the audience. Salima Rice, who's the Chief Data Analytics Officer of Geometric Results, asks, how are you using data and advanced analytics to find the right talent for the right position at the right time? And are you using data to better assess skills and your talent, not on the resume, such as culture, personality? And you touched on that a little bit, how we're looking at culture and algorithms. So can you share that a bit?
Yeah, Jim.
I'm
going to leave that alone because that's Ibrahim. I get beaten the head. I'm so old school. Okay, I'm about build great relationships and service the hell out of them. I'm going to leave that alone because my life has changed because of Ibrahim Jackson. So I'll let him handle that question.
Salima, thank you for the question. And I think I'm going to quote, I believe it's Deming who said this, right? In God we trust, everyone else must bring data. Right.
That's Salima's quote. That's Salima has that on her LinkedIn. That's her quote.
Oh, does she?
Yeah, I'm going to share it with you.
Everyone else must bring data. And so while I will not, Salima, give you the secret sauce, the answer is yes, we are using tools that allow, we have tools that allow us to do these Boolean searches where we can actually look for demographic data, where we can look at skills and competencies and behaviors. And then we also have tools that perform assessments around your DISC. Right, to figure out where are you so that we can see, are you the dominant figure, are you, conscientious, et cetera. And then we are able to use these tools to say, well, here's the job, here's the individual, how well is the fit, right? I know that we work with several of our clients that like to do, some of those critical skills assessments. So part of what Eddie and I do is we also prep candidates with critical skills assessments that people can actually run through so they have a better chance of actually winning. Now, on the flip side to that, one of the areas that I'm pushing for many organizations, they have this narrative around, well, we need cultural fit. And my ask to them and challenge to them is, do you need cultural fit or are you looking for cultural add? Right? Because if you're looking for cultural fit, then you've already boxed yourself in, right? And there may be someone who can bring something to the table because again, they have a different walk of life, different social identity that may bring nuances to your organization that could add potential strategic value.
Great. Hey, we had a quick question from Chris Delica, 3i People. He just wanted to know the process of becoming a minority and veteran certified company. Maybe you can just talk about the process.
Yeah, there's several, Jim. Obviously, NMSDC is the primary group that is a certification that's accepted basically, at least America, but probably around the world as far as the dominant certification. It's something that renews every September. Obviously, I've been in it for many years, as well as you want to be at their conferences, at the annuals, all the other things that take place. But NMSDC, and then I'm a former Marine Corps officer, so we also have, a veteran certification as well here. So we sort of checked a couple of boxes there as well.
Thank you for your service, Semper Fi. Wow.
Thank you. Thank you. It was a pleasure. Semper Fi. Semper Fi.
Semper Fi. When were you in your service?
1983 to 1988.
Wow. Thank you so much. Oh, final thoughts, because we're getting to the top of the hour. Again, I want to thank CPAL, ICON, and NTEC. What's 2021 look like for you, for the industry, for the minority worker, for the person who's maybe been blocked out of gigs and now, there's all this emphasis on diversity and inclusion, and what's the future look like for 2021 for the extended workforce, contingent workforce?
Well, listen, pardon the pun, but it's very bright. It's very bright. I think within the diversity space, I think there is a social awakening. I'll call it an awakening. I think that being given the opportunity as a minority organization, we have to be intentional. We have to be strategic because, the balance may shift. And we want to make sure that wherever HCM is established, that we're bringing value every step along the way. We're very strategic about the partners that we've aligned ourselves with. Obviously, we're looking to grow, but once again, I want to make sure, and we want to make sure that our value is very clear to any ecosystem that we join as a partner. And I think with Ibrahim's group and the holistic approach, again, we are knocking on open doors and we are having real impact.
Ibrahim, final words. You guys are doing great work. I want to give you the last word.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Jim. My final word is this, that listen, if you're looking for an ecosystem partner that can help you with staffing, that can help you with ensuring that we're developing your people, we are those guys. You know, we open those doors, even if it's just a conversation. How do we navigate this space? Because it's uncharted territory for me. I'm a big fan of Jim Rohn, and the quote that I love that he says is, it's not the blowing of the wind, it's the setting of the sail. The same wind blows on us all. You know, look at us as being one of those individuals who can help you set your sail.
Awesome. And here's to the cool breeze on Friday. We're going out with James Brown. Say it loud, baby.
What we deserve.
And we get what we deserve.
All right,
All right, baby.
Take care, everyone.
Say it loud.
have a good one.
All right, you guys, you're great, man. Hey, next week I have Wendy Stinger from Thomson Reuters on the call. See you later.
Till we get our